Hello and welcome to another Ukraine war update. Let's start right away. In this clip that got shared quite a lot on social media, we can see a Russian tall surface-to-air missile system launching a 9K-331 anti-air missile aiming for a Ukrainian drone observing the launch site. The missile misses the drone but is clearly visible on camera. Interestingly, this was not the only close encounter with missiles that got clearly documented on camera recently. Russia also released footage of a similar incident involving one of their attack helicopters. The Kf-52 helicopter was conducting a low-level unguided rocket attack when Ukrainian troops engaged it with what looks like to have been a shoulder-fired surface-to-air missile system. Like in the first clip, the missile missed but was also clearly visible on camera. In response, the Kf-52 immediately deployed flares to protect itself from follow-on launches. Another interesting video came from the Belgorod region in Russia, where Chechen fighters conducted an ambush on a Russian Ural truck and filmed everything on helmet cameras. From the footage, it looks like the Ichkerian DRG team from the GUR set up a linear ambush and engaged the truck with small arms fire as it was passing by. It has been reported that the truck was used to supply Russian troops in Ukraine. The area this took place has been geolocated to a road northwest of the Russian town of Sarada, close to the Ukrainian border. Ukraine recently admitted that they were actively conducting operations in Russia, and I think we all already knew this before. In the end, it is a move that makes sense from a military point of view. It is pretty hard to win if you cannot take the fight to your enemy, and that's what they try to do, even if it is on a small scale. The video shows that the Chechens engaged the truck from close range and there was not much chance to evade the ambush. Interesting to see a 6 516 used here. As mentioned before, the men you see in this clip are part of the so-called Separate Special Purpose Battalion of the Ministry of Defense of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria. It is said that this unit is part of the International Legion of Territorial Defense of Ukraine and operates under the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. They started fighting on the Ukrainian side on July 29, 2022. To make the long story short, they basically see Chechnya as occupied state by Russia, and their roots go way back to the Chechen wars. I will not go more into detail here, since this is a topic that could easily fill a pretty long and complex video on its own, so I just scratched on the surface here. The Chechens did not face any visible resistance, and the truck driver was pretty much caught off guard. The scenes remind me strongly of the video that showed a Ukrainian Special Forces unit ambushing a Russian UAZ in the woods of Kremena that also got shared on this channel last year. Both videos have been shared a lot by the mainstream media, but they did not provide any further context, so I hope you appreciate my take on this here. I hope I could explain to you that there is way more about this footage than just a bunch of armed guys engaging a lone truck somewhere on a road. Perhaps if this war will finally be over, I will find the time to do some videos about the First and Second Chechen War, since this is a thing I am very interested in and would also like to know much more about. The ambush was pretty swift, and in the background we can see that they actually did their homework, as a guy was providing security for them as they were moving up to the truck. I think this was definitely not the last time we saw operations like this conducted within Russia. This video, filmed on a helmet camera by a Russian soldier, also claims to be from the Belgorod region. It shows the Russians defending a trench against a Ukrainian attack. Since the video was mostly filmed from inside the trench and the outside area was blurred, it is hard to say for sure if this was indeed in Belgorod, but the video got released by a Russian source that stated it was from there. I honestly do not know what the value of lying would be here. Perhaps some of you are smarter than me with this, so I am eager to hear your comment. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell and enable all notifications. That way you will not miss any new Ukraine war updates. This seems to be a format most people like, so I will keep it up for now. The goal is to show you significant footage that recently surfaced and to give a little bit more info about what floods your social media feeds all the time. This video here shows a Russian drone tracking a Ukrainian drone that was most likely used for the direction of artillery fire back to its landing site after its mission. The logic behind it is simple. These drones are basically operated by artillery observers and have to be picked up again by them. Well, not necessarily by them, but you get what I mean. By simply following the drone and sharing its location, this then opens up the option to target the site with artillery fire, like you see in this clip. This is a common practice and the Ukrainians use it as well. Such counter-spotting is one of the biggest dangers drone operators face, and there is not much you can do about it if you have not noticed the enemy drone fast enough. This video claims to show a M2 Bradley that took a direct hit from a T-72 tank. Speaking of the Bradley, here is another recently released clip showing a Ukrainian Bradley coming under Russian artillery fire in the Zaporizhia region. Not more info was shared besides the fact that stated this Bradley was conducting an attack. In this clip we see one of the many low-level attack runs that are conducted frequently by both sides. Here it shows a Ukrainian Mi-24 helicopter. Anti-air systems are heavily limiting both sides' capability to freely deploy their air assets, and especially helicopters. That's why they basically use them as a form of aerial rocket-launched artillery to engage area targets. What many do not know is that there is actually a science behind it, and this maneuver was already mentioned in a Cold War manual of East Germany. This Ukrainian observation camera had a close encounter with a Russian-launched anti-tank guided missile. Like in the first two clips of this Ukraine war update here, the missile is again clearly visible. Just a few years ago, footage like this was considered to be pretty rare, but now we witness such similar events 3 times in a very short period of time. Pretty interesting that the missile team was located in the middle of the field rather than close to the forest you see in the background. Ukrainian forces released footage showing the destruction of a Russian BMP-2M. This is a variant I have not seen so much in action so far. The video got released by the 79th Airborne Assault Brigade. Here you can see the BMP for a short period of time before it gets struck. Unclear if it was already abandoned. Another short video released by Ukraine shows a Russian BMP being hit by what appears to be a 155 bonus indirect fire top attack smart submunition. It is an artillery launched fire and forget munition designed for a long range, indirect fire top attack role against armored vehicles. It is pretty much usable with the majority of existing 155mm artillery guns. This video that was most likely filmed by Russian paratroopers in the area around Kreminna shows 2 Russian armored vehicles engaging Ukrainian positions. The vehicle from where everything was filmed was primarily armed with what looks like a Zu-23 anti-aircraft twin-barreled autocannon. I think the gunner is exposed on top of the vehicle, what makes it a quite interesting choice for an offensive operation for obvious reasons. The other vehicle looks like it used a heavier caliber to engage what covered the second vehicle, but still interesting and not the first time this was done even on this road, I believe. In this drone clip we see a Ukrainian mechanized assault on a Russian trench system. Like with many of these videos, the Russian positions got softened up by a pair of Ukrainian tanks who shelled the area in order to prepare the assault with infantry. The soldiers used a lot of grenades against the pinned down and fixed Russians that were forced to act passive due to the tanks' prior preparation. Recently we saw a lot of first-person helmet cam footage from such operations, but this video gives a clearer depiction of how the Ukrainian soldiers work here. They dominate the space and work as much with grenades as possible since this is the safer approach for them. While the Russians clearly got cornered here, they still had significant cover even if they were forced into a pretty narrow space. This happened close to Klishchiivka, Donetsk region. Not much more info was shared about the background, but maps showing the front line show that Ukraine is at the very doorsteps of the town. If Ukrainians capture the town, it would bring the Russian troops and Bakhmut pretty much into trouble. In the clip we can also see that it seems at this time a way bigger trench system was assaulted than we saw in the previous videos that got released by the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, where the Russian positions were mostly scattered across larger areas and tree lines next to the fields surrounding the location. This video that was reportedly filmed by members of the Ukrainian National Guard shows another mechanized operation against Russian positions. Here a squad of Ukrainian soldiers dismounted from the top of a BTR under the cover of smoke but got pinned down shortly after. It is said that their task was to man a fighting position and that they were successful. This video clearly showcases the problems with the BTR I already mentioned in another video. It is pretty difficult to quickly dismount from the inside of the vehicle due to a design flaw, and therefore the soldiers mostly ride on top of it into battle, what pretty much exposes them totally to enemy fire. The door that is mounted on the side of the vehicle is extremely small, what makes it quite time consuming to leave the vehicle, especially in hairy situations like this. Another BTR was later used to evacuate a Ukrainian soldier that got WIA, and the problem with the door is showcased again. You can later see the narrow space making it hard to mount and dismount. Pair this with the fact that they are under fire and I think you get a sense of the problem they have to face here. Luckily for them, they used plenty of smoke what concealed them and made it possible to maneuver relatively safe given the circumstances. Since there were conflicting reports of where in Ukraine this was filmed, I currently cannot say for sure where exactly this took place. Here you can see that the door is elevated and the space is extremely tight. Also the BTR has pretty much thin armor that cannot stop much fire. It is mostly used due to the fact that there are huge stocks of it and the vehicle is simply widely available. All in all, the vehicle sums up the old Soviet doctrine of mass and speed pretty well. If you watched till now, I wanted to say thank you. I feel really honored that you find interesting what I have to tell and show. If you support what I do, let me know through a like. This really helps pushing the content more than you think. In Avdiivka, Donetsk region, the Ukrainian 110th Brigade successfully repelled a larger-sized Russian mechanized assault with artillery. The scenes that were filmed by a drone show armored Russian vehicles, including tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, with infantry coming under artillery fire while advancing. According to the 110th Brigade, 21 vehicles and 200 Russian soldiers were lost. This number, however, cannot be confirmed from the footage alone, even if it shows a number of disabled and destroyed Russian vehicles afterwards. Interesting about the 110th separate mechanized brigade is that they exclusively use equipment donated or purchased from the Czech Republic. The video pretty much shows that not only Ukrainian armored formations have problems to break through defensive lines, and also the Russians already failed many times to conduct such operations. The scenes remind strongly on the failed mechanized attacks on Belgorod, where a large number of Russian equipment was lost to mines and Ukrainian artillery fire. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense said that they recently repelled over 50 of such attacks all across the front line. So far, Russia's biggest gain in the recent year was the city of Bakhmut. Nothing else major has been reported regarding significant gains. Currently, there were reports that Russia assembled 100,000 soldiers in the Luhansk region, but I saw nothing that would confirm this for now. Here we can see a total of 9 Russian vehicles that were lost during the attack. Most of them look like infantry fighting vehicles. As said, the source speaks of 21, but I would stick to the 9 so far, what however still would be a company-sized element. Russia, however, has also released drone footage of a failed Ukrainian mechanized assault in an undisclosed location. The column came under Russian anti-tank fire installed. One of the BMPs then rammed one of the Ukrainian tanks as it was trying to move backwards out of the danger area. First, it seems the vehicles took their hits quite well, but at least one BMP was destroyed during the attempt. Unlike many other of these videos, we can see quite the use of anti-tank weapons by the Russians here. It has been reported the Russians were from the 200th Motorized Rifle Brigade, so this most likely took place around Berivka north of Bakhmut. Seems here Russian forces putting up more resistance than in the south of the city, and also their anti-tank capabilities are way better here. However, same like with Klishchivka, Ukrainians are also already at the doorsteps of Berivka, and the current map shows the area between the lately liberated territory and the Russian lines heavily contested. This Russian drone video from Kremlin released by the Russian Ministry of Defense claims to show a Russian VDV paratrooper assault on a Ukrainian trench system. According to Russia, the position was targeted by artillery before the assault. Some people criticized me for showing Russian videos in the past, but I have to say that it is extremely important that we get to see the Russian side as well. To those people, I want to refer to a famous quote from the book The Art of War by Sun Tzu. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. It is a pretty good book and you should read it before commenting such things. I could explain this in detail way more, but this is already a very long video, and most people already have a way too short attention span, especially the ones commenting such things. Especially the West can learn a lot from both sides here. I know that there are certain interest groups that do not want the public to get insight into this, but this is a different story. It seems there is no Ukraine war update without at least one video released under the banner of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, and here we go. This video that got filmed from multiple angles shows Ukrainian tanks engaging Russian positions in the area of Klishchivka. Like with the other video from that region, the tanks were used as an enabling and support element for the infantry that attacked and forced the Russians to give up their positions and flee. Seems Ukrainian artillery was also backing the attack that resulted in more territorial gains in the area. The video was mostly filmed by a drone, but shows also footage from inside the tank and from a camera mounted to the turret. According to the Deep State map, Ukraine recently captured 16.2 square kilometers from Russia and keeps making gains in the region. Their small piece-by-piece approach still seems to work. They mostly face the Russian 83rd Separate Guards Air Assault Brigade, the 72nd Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade and the 11th Separate Assault Brigade in the area. The Rosguard unit Akhmet took position further north of the town and could soon face a Ukrainian attack. Here you can see Russian troops giving up their positions under Ukrainian fire as artillery was working heavily in the area. We will see how the situation on this part of the front line will further evolve soon, I think. Right now Ukraine seems to have the upper hand in this sector, and it really would be a significant blow to Russia if Bakhmut would face an encirclement from the south and north after it took so much time to capture the city. Possibly quite a political defeat for Putin in the near future here. That's it for this Ukraine war update, guys. I hope you could get something from it. It is way harder to produce such videos than I thought before, so I appreciate every feedback in the form of a comment and like. This really helps me improve and gives more people the opportunity to see the videos with at least a little bit of context. I did my best and apologize if I made small errors here and there. I am actually no machine, even if I sometimes work like one. Here, by the way, is a video of Ukrainian soldiers holding a ceremony to honor one of the most valuable assets on the front line. A thing that can only be described as a blessing. What could this possibly be? Can you guess it? I think you might already have a clue. What could hold so much value? Yes, you see right, this is a toilet, a real treasure in such a place. It even offers some little form of privacy. May this sacred place be protected from drones for eternity. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in more Ukraine war updates, make sure to subscribe. Also hit the bell and enable all notifications for this channel. That way you do not miss any further Ukraine war updates. You are also invited to share this video so it reaches more people. You can watch the last Ukraine update here. Simply click on the thumbnail. If you appreciate the work I put into this, you can support me further by buying me a coffee. Thank you very much. Till the next time.